Early days of the 20th century, the spiritual ancestors of today's energy drinks were a little less limited in what they could claim and what they could put in. And the one that really stands out for the 1920s took the energy part of energy drink extremely literally. What's in Radithor? Distilled water, and one source says triple distilled, plus at least one microcurie or 37 becquerel each of radium-226 and radium-228. The ingredients other than water were radium with a little mesothorium just for, tang, a little spice, aka Radithor was radium water.
Oh my God.
So the rad doesn't stand for sick moves on a skateboard, it stands for radium. Fucking radium. I've never been an energy drink guy. I don't understand them. I don't like the taste. Never been an energy drink guy. The way I look at them, it's like, all they do is give you sugar and caffeine, and if I want that, I have a coffee because I'm not 12.
But what if you're doing the sports?
Coffee.
Probably not the best.
No. So modern energy drinks, they started to show up 1960s in Japan and Europe. So people were increasingly looking for, simple, easy dietary supplements, energy boosters, as you'd expect. And so in 1962, Taisho Pharmaceuticals launched the very first modern-style energy drink, or maybe one of, very close to the first, in Japan, Lipovitan D. It's supposed to give you sustained energy, reduce mental and physical fatigue. The only one I saw, first time I was in Japan, there were these vending machines, no surprise there, and the main drink then, it was just like a Gatorade, was called Pocari Sweat.
You're thinking it's a bottle of sweat.
Yes, I am.
But could you have just guessed, based on the idea that they're selling it, that it's not a bottle of sweat? I know that other countries are different, but I don't think there's many countries that are selling bottles of sweat.
Especially flavored. It came in flavors. Well, strawberry sweat.
I don't know. Of course, I know that there are now entrepreneurs on the internet selling their sweat.
You know?
It's like the cute viral gamer girls sort of thing. They'll sell their bath water or versions of that.
So
and I'm sure there are versions of people selling their sweat.
Fucking bath water. Sell it. I mean, I got no problem with you selling it. Who's buying it?
I don't know. People who are into it.
As Megadeth says, peace sells, but who's buying? I figure that with bath water.
People.
I've always said so. So the main elements in Lipovitan D are vitamin B, taurine, which I assume is basically bull's balls or something.
I don't know. Sounds like Vegemite so far.
And ginseng, not Vegemite.
Not Vegemite,
anymore.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, so and as you know, it's still big there today. So 1987, Red Bull built and launched in, do you know which country?
Red Bull. Oh, it's German. East German.
You're very close.
Behind the wall?
Austria.
Austrian.
I had no fucking idea. I assumed instantly and always American. I had no doubt. Red Bull American.
No, it felt European to me.
97, it hit the US. 10 years, which surprised me. And so, of course, now there's a plethora of other energy drinks. It's multi-billion-dollar global industry, etc. But, of course, one particular study, there have been conflicting results concerning the effect of energy drinks on physiological and cognitive performance. And they quote a bunch of research. So there's some research that says, look, the effects of these potions on, and they look at mood, concentration, reaction time, alertness, endurance, physical performance, and also tendency to increase risk-taking behaviors. So some studies do reveal improvements in physical performance.
Okay, cool.
Also memory and speed of attention.
Speed of attention.
Like, boom, I can attend quickly. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. That's a category of data that like a meth user has got.
I was going to say amphetamines.
I want to be measured on speed of attention because I can fucking snap to attention really quick.
Everything.
Over there. Yep.
I serial task so quickly it looks like multitasking. I'm just a blur. Of course, there are also downsides in studies, ranging from they don't do nothing to people, scoffing far too much caffeine, sugar, etc.
Yeah.
To cases where, as I mentioned a moment ago, some energy drinks seem to lead people to be more risk positive.
You're thinking this afternoon I want to do some train surfing. I'd take an energy drink beforehand just to get me in the game.
I'd take an endone. Preemptive painkiller.
Yeah, probably.
Ability reducer, reaction time slower. So the sorts of things you normally find in these energy drinks. This is going to take a big, deep breath. Guarana seed or guarana seed extract, caffeine, maltodextrin, taurine, Pax ginseng root extract, ginkgo biloba leaf extract, inositol, whatever, glucuronolactone.
Confession, they're all whatever to me.
Yeah, green tea extract. You've heard of green tea.
Yeah.
Guayaki herbe mate, milk thistle extract.
Milk thistle.
Milk thistle.
That's a Scottish bit there.
Doesn't it?
Put your milk thistle in.
Put your thistle in here. That's not what I meant. Epigallocatechin gallate, B vitamins, C vitamins, antioxidant complexes, and of course, fuckloads of different kinds of sugar.
So this is
all kinds of them.
The food that your grandmother ate.
Yep, that's why she's still alive today.
Yeah.
And very strong. I mean, they're not all in everything. Many things could be in your little pick-me-up. But these days there's a lot of regulation, as you'd be aware. And the claims that can be made about their effects are well regulated too, so they're pretty safe. But early days of the 20th century, the spiritual ancestors of today's energy drinks were a little less limited in what they could claim and what they could put in. And the one that really stands out for the 1920s took the energy part of energy drink extremely literally.
Welcome to The Wholesome Show, the podcast that will put literally anything into the whole of science to improve its performance.
We will.
I'm Will Grant.
I'm Rod Lamberts. So Ebenezer, or Eben Byers, chairman of the Eben Byers company, which was in Pittsburgh, they made wrought iron pipes. So he was also known as an iron master. Anyway, he was also director of Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing, a director. And the quote was, connected with Coke, docks and banking. I assume they mean coke, like industrial, coked iron, whatever they do.
Oh yeah, you would be. You got the one thing I know about iron, you got to get some coke.
Got to coke it.
Yep.
For years, he apparently had a private box at a baseball field in Pittsburgh. It's Forbes Field or something. Apparently that's a big deal, or was. He had a couple of houses and he liked to visit Palm Beach a lot.
Oh, that's probably nice.
A lot of his obituaries and or bios spend a lot of time talking about his amateur golfing prowess. But that's probably because he was a US amateur golf champion in 1906. So he was good at golfing.
Okay.
He also was a horse racing enthusiast. He had stables in the USA and the UK. And apparently he was quite the ladies' man. So the summary was he was the personification of the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah, okay.
He was the Gatsby or whatever.
Yeah, he's loving the golf. He's doing the stuff.
He's the guy. Okay. He's the guy. 1927, he was 47 years old. He's coming home on a chartered train after watching the Harvard-Yale football game. So they had berths, upper and lower, so I assume they're kind of sleeping racks or something. Uh-huh. He was in an upper one during the trip and he fell asleep and he rolled out and hurt his arm.
Oh, shit.
Poor little fella.
It's terrible.
It's not great. So the next few weeks he started to complain of muscular aches. They messed with his athletic prowess, particularly his golf game suffered.
My game is off.
Yeah, my game is off. And there are some sources that suggest his bedroom performance might have been off as well.
With his arm broken.
Injured.
I mean, arms is certainly useful.
So the injury and the run-downedness did not respond too well to regular medical intervention. So he'd been to the doc and the doc's let's jump up and down and breathe deeply and eat a steak. Didn't work. So his physiotherapist, Dr. Moyar, said, start drinking Radithor.
Radithor is so He-Man's little brother.
Yeah. So Radithor is an energy drink, a restorative, and it had apparently curative properties.
All right.
Like it was good for, according to the marketing spiels,
everything.
To be fair, only about 150 things. At least asthma, constipation, flagging libido, diabetes, mental illness, and 145 other ailments. It was advertised as pure sunshine in a bottle and claimed to be, quote, a cure for the living dead. Okay. Living dead, not dead. I assume what they mean is like, run-downedness. So Eben took his doctor's advice, and the first prescription that he got from the doctor started him on the path to becoming, quote, Radithor's most famous customer. Did it help him? So the quote from the 1930s Time magazine article was, the dope eased the arm pain and braced Byers up.
Okay.
And so for the next 2 years, Byers drank 2 or 3 bottles of Radithor a day.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, it's very clear, there weren't a lot of details of, like the intricacies of how he felt, but it's clear that he felt freaking stoked. He loved it.
Yeah, no, okay.
Loved it. He sent cases of it to his business partners, one to at least one of his girlfriends.
I think that's the other thing about these, a lot of these quack cures is that there is always a moment where they're actually feeling way better than they were before.
Yeah, sounds like he felt great. He even fed some of it at least one of his racehorses.
Sure, why not?
So although the beverage had no recognized or obvious addictive compounds, Byers appears to have become at least psychologically hooked.
Yeah.
He was into it. Year 2, roughly. He'd had probably 1,400 serves of Radithor.
Uh-huh.
Then about that 2 year-ish, 18 months, 2 years, he started to get headaches, pain in his jaw, and he started to lose weight.
Couldn't possibly be associated with the Radithor.
No. Soon the headaches increased, the number and severity, and he started to have horrible, widespread, like around his mouth, toothaches.
Oh.
And his condition continued to decline over the next few years. The question is why? What's in Radithor? Look, if it helps, not a lot. There's not a lot of ingredients.
Yes.
One is distilled water, and one source says triple distilled.
Triple distilling, I don't know how that makes it better than single distilling.
So basically takes out everything that's not water.
Yeah.
3 times.
3 times.
Up to 3 times. So it's that.
Okay, so that's good. So pure H2O.
Plus at least 1 microcurie or 37 becquerel each of radium-226 and radium-228. So it was mostly the ingredients other than water were radium with a little mesothorium just for, tang, a little spice, a.k.a. Radithor was radium water.
Oh, my God.
So the rad doesn't stand for sick moves on a skateboard. It stands for radium. Fucking radium.
Fuck, they were so keen on radiation back then.
So it was manufactured between 1918 and 1928 by the Bailey Radium Laboratories in New Jersey.
Oh my God! So okay, radium laboratories. Yeah. So clearly it's a bunch of scientists that are like, okay, we know how to use radium. We're using it for some X-rays, maybe doing some science experiments, some other stuff like that. You know what we should branch out and do is some energy drinks. Like,
I love that you heard the word laboratories and assumed a flock of scientists.
okay, yeah, fair enough. But
adorable.
Who goes from yes, this might be useful in seeing inside your bones to we should drink it?
Eat it. Fucking eat it. So the owner of the company, of Bailey Radium Laboratories, Inc., was a chap called William J.A. Bailey, and he was described, at least in one source, as a scholarly-looking man with no scientific or medical degrees, no learned connections other than membership in the American Association for the Advancement of Science.
Well.
Which ain't nothing, but I don't think it took a lot to be able to join at the time. And apparently he claims in his interests for this association, the AAAS, a, quote, protean interest in medical science, chemistry and physics. Protean, I know you know.
Yes.
So intermittent. He's also described by some sources as a born con man who had been peddling various miracle cures, especially for impotence.
I'm shocked.
4 years. It's probable, it was a bit confusing, but it wasn't clear. He was probably someone who was fined about 10 years before this started going on for selling a goo called Lassico for superb manhood. The ad is like, are you a man in name only?
Oh.
Lassico for superb manhood, nervous stability, sexual weakness, failing memory, sleepiness, and kidney troubles. Lassico.
But that's the heart of how quacks are selling to men, and I know that there is a different, obviously.
Soft dick when you don't want it to be?
But no, not just
Take anything.
Yes, but it's like, it will make you feel bad about all of these things.
Yeah. You're less of a man.
They don't invent new stuff. It's just going straight to people's anxieties and going.
Hitting them straight in the angst. So the key ingredient of Lassico was strychnine.
Oh, okay.
Not uncommon in the day, though, as a performance enhancer. It was really big in cycling, professional cycling.
I remember you've told us about this before.
Horrifying.
So what is strychnine doing in your blood that gives you a performance enhancement?
I think it kind of, this might not be exact facts, but I think it kind of takes away your ability to feel some shit.
Okay.
At certain levels. You don't quite connect with the horrible agony you're putting yourself through.
All right.
That was my impression.
That could be one version of performance enhancing.
It would be. So anyway, this is the sort of stuff he was into. So it was no surprise that he originally, or at least predominantly, touted his miracle Radithor as an aphrodisiac. So he mailed this pamphlet out to doctors in the mid-20s. The pamphlet was called Radithor, the New Weapon of Medical Science. It claimed improved blood supply sent to the pelvic organs and tonic effects upon the nervous system generally result in a great improvement in the sex organs, supposedly. And his timing was perfect, of course, because this was not long after the Curies, later in the 1800s. So the US was apparently around a bit after the turn of the century, getting to the 20s, writing what they called a mild radium therapy movement. Mild radium, they're not idiots. So it was really big in certain social circles, and the premise was radium in minute doses would prod a metabolic kick in your endocrine system.
Oh.
And it would infuse your depleted organs with energy. That's not untrue.
Well, yes.
It's not a lie. You are infused with an energy. And look, there were a few serious claims at the time for a little while that radioactive water could be beneficial. So you're wondering how they made it. One is you dissolve radium salts in water. So salts of radium will dissolve. The other way they do it, other than dissolving radium salts, is to expose water to radium emanations.
Oh, you open the water and you
homeopath it, or you put radium near it.
You put radium near it. Put it near it, and the way
it's like the young girls' baths you were talking about.
I got to say, if I'm going to drink one of the two, I'll drink the exposed water rather than the.
So here's the thing: doctors thought they had evidence that the waters, treated in one way or the other, didn't matter, would cure chronic arthritis, gout, which you mentioned, neuritis, and high blood pressure. It was a brief period. And at least one scientific paper claimed, this is from the 20s, that radium water could increase the sexual passion of water newts.
Well,
So
it's the passion that I want.
Look at those two, I think they're lizards,
Writing poetry to each other.
banging in the water.
No, it's not just the banging. Passion is more. It's like I want to be with you. Like not just, yeah.
So anyway, the sexual passion of water newts apparently inspired a bunch of people. So Bailey's claim about Radithor being the results of, he claimed this, years of laboratory research. So it wasn't completely out of the blue because people were talking about it anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, it was emphatically not the product of years of laboratory research. I don't know if he had much of a lab. It certainly was called a lab. I think he had a factory or a place he irradiated it.
Yeah.
To his credit, he actually did put radium in the water.
So he actually did what he said.
He was legit.
Like, he wasn't lying about
legit,
that.
yeah.
He did that bit of it.
Not a fraud. So regardless of whether people believed it or not, he sold at least 400,000 bottles for $1 a piece in the 20s, which is, I think, $90 bajillion in
Yeah, it's
today's
impossible
dollars.
to convert that money.
It's too much.
Like he
It's
is
too much.
the Great Gatsby.
You could buy a country for $1 back then. So he sold a lot of those. He was also associated, at least probably before these, but maybe after, it's hard to tell, with the manufacturers of Thorone tablets, which
Of course.
250 times more radioactive than radium, Arium tablets, which promise to restore, quote, happiness and youthful thrill into the lives of married peoples whose attractions to each other had weakened. Okay, more fucking radium.
Oh my God.
And my fave, the Radiandoctrinator.
Doctrinator.
Radiandoctrinator. It was intended to be placed over the endocrine glands, which have so masterful a control over life and bodily health.
And you put that over your
Endocrines.
Where are your endocrines?
They're in your abdomen.
Okay. And it looks like a little magic book.
It does.
It's like you're taking out Merlin's freaking, this is
Merlin's beef.
This is Merlin's boner box.
A little case, nicely velvet lined by the looks of it, with this little thing that is apparently
Radiocrinator.
radiumed again. It was first they tried to or started selling it for $1,000 a pop, 1,000 in the 20s.
Yeah. So this is big money. Quacks. This is my thing for you, Quacks. Could you just make it not harmful? Like if you're gonna
be a jerk, but don't hurt people.
If you're gonna sell shit,
Yep.
just try not to sell shit that will murder people.
Who said anyone died? Speaking of which, back to Eben Byers. He wasn't doing well. Hard to imagine, right?
No.
So a radiologist and a prominent radium expert from Columbia Uni looked at some radiographs that were taken of Eben.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they mean x-rays or equivalent.
Yeah.
They confirmed that he was slowly decomposing as a result of the massive radium intoxication.
Okay.
So the problem is when you drink whatever radium, it ends up incorporating into bone matter. It goes into your bones. And that's a problem.
I'm feeling it.
It's got a half-life of about 1,600 years, if you're wondering, so it takes a long time.
So you can't poo it out quickly.
No, it's 1,600 years and you poo out half. It's a long bog. So no surprises as this started to come to the fore, Byers being fairly well-known, man about town, there was a cry that said, look,
Ironmaster.
we've got to, exactly the Ironmaster, we have to investigate Radithor and other radium concoctions. So the Bureau of Investigation of the American Medical Association started looking, and they found people selling radium waters for cures for things like anemia, leukemia, boils, blackheads and pimples.
Yeah,
I mean, I had bad pimples as a teenager, and if you'd said if you nuke them, they'll go away, I probably would have tried it.
and if you're a rich person, it's $1 a bottle. You just go,
Fucking give me two. So the American Medical Association and their Council on Pharmacy and Chemistry withdrew their approval of devices that made radium or radioactive waters. They said
So based
no.
on this, okay.
Yeah, or related. I think there was a kind of a wave beginning, and Byers was, he was a touchstone. Many people got on board to expose radium dangers from here. So there was a doctor, for example, in New York. He went on a radio show and he held the radioactive bones of a victim of one of these things.
That's
bones,
cool.
just the bones. And he held a Geiger counter in front of it over the radio to demonstrate the deadly sound of radium. So
That's not bad. Like as a prop, bring some human
impressive.
bones into the radio.
Yeah.
I know it's radio. Like radio, it's a little bit like live TV. That would be better. But bringing some bones in and going, look at how irradiated this person is. That's kind of. I wonder, were they scared in the 1920s by a Geiger counter in the way that just that clicking sound is like it's close
scary.
to it's close to the velociraptor tapping its claws on the ground. It's like the Geiger counter of just you're walking towards something you cannot see, but it is killing you quick.
So Geiger counters may have had an effect on people, even in the 20s. So the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, filed a complaint accusing Bailey's laboratory of false advertisement or false advertising. And to back up their claim, they thought, we'll go and talk to Byers and get testimony about the bullshit about Radithor. An attorney for the FTC, a guy called Robert Wynne, went to Byers at his Southampton home, one of his homes. A more gruesome experience in a more gorgeous setting would be hard to imagine.
Oh. All right.
How are you feeling?
Well, I'm kind of imagining Skeletor in his summer palace or something like that.
Skeletor at least had a complete skeleton. We went up to Southampton where Byers had a magnificent home. Then we discovered him in a condition which beggars description.
Oh, God.
Young in years and mentally alert, he could hardly speak. His head was swathed in bandages. He had undergone 2 successive operations in which his whole upper jaw, except 2 front teeth, and most of his lower jaw had been removed.
Oh.
All the remaining bone tissue of his body was slowly disintegrating and holes were forming in his skull. So they got testimony from that guy. And I mean, really, what's the testimony? A photograph.
That will do. That will do.
So Bailey's defense.
I'm just to confess, I am
not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan. But the whole losing your bottom jaw, changes the shape of your head quite a lot. Losing your top of jaw too.
What does that even mean? Somehow there were teeth left. I'm amazed there are any.
You just left to the top bit of your skull and your brain and your eye. How are you still alive? Like I am long past the point where I'm like, okay, put me back. Put me down in the ground.
Take me home to mother.
I'm done. I am.
It's horrifying.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Good on you,
well.
Mr. Byers, for toughing it out.
For testifying.
Once you're at the point of half my head is gone and you can see into my brain through my skull. I'm sorry.
Health drink. Health energy drink. The thing is, it's true. It was full of energy. So Bailey's defense, but I only sold Radithor on doctors' prescriptions. It's not my fault. Doctors prescribed it. Fuck off. So let's talk. The doctor, Dr. Moyar, who prescribed it to Eben, insisted it wasn't harmful. And quotes from him, I never had a death among my patients for radium treatment. I've taken as much or more radium water of the same kind Mr. Byers took. I am 51, active and healthy.
Oh.
I believe that radium water has a definite place in the treatment of certain diseases and I prescribe it when I deem it necessary.
Wow, okay.
He knew, he declared, that Byers had died from a combination of blood diseases which had induced gout. He knew.
Face gout.
Yep. Gout of the jaw.
Of the jaw.
My jaw fell off. Oh, it's gout.
I've never heard that before.
Seen it 100 times. So 1931, the FTC basically they dropped a cease and desist order halting all production in Bailey Radium Labs of producing Radithor. Stop. Every bottle from every store that was found selling was taken away. So you could also get it off the shelves, which is even more scary in some ways. And basically by December of 1931, radium-infused drinks were removed from the market. They were gone.
Oh, man.
This was, of course, too late for Eben Byers.
Yeah.
So he died of radium poisoning in April of 1932.
How long after the testify?
About 5 months.
Okay.
So autopsy revealed that he had swollen kidneys. That was the best bit. 6 remaining teeth. May have been related to the fact that both his jaws, of course, were rotted away. His brain was abscessed, not just his skull. His fucking brain had abscesses. And they measured, at the time at least, distributed through his bones, 36 micrograms of radium. 10 was considered fatal.
Mm-hmm. Well, considered by idiots, obviously, because
what do they know?
You can survive on much more than 10.
Exactly, for at least a few years. A friend of his called Mary Hill died just before him of a similar cause. And there's a Time article that said other of his friends are gravely worried because they got bottles and crates and stuff and scoffing it. So he was buried in a lead-lined coffin.
Love it.
To block the radiation, obviously.
I know it's for science reasons, but lead-lined coffin, I've said it before, I'll say it again.
You'll take it?
Freaking cool. It's the kind of thing in 2,000 years, when they dig it up and either there's padlock around your neck or you're in a lead-lined coffin, they're like
vampire or nuked.
This is saying something.
Yeah.
This is that nuclear semiotics.
2,000 years isn't enough.
There is no honor here.
Half-life is 1,600.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying in the future when we've forgotten shit.
Later. Speaking of which, 33 years later, 1965, MIT scientist, a guy called Robley Evans, they exhumed Byers' body. They wanted, or his skeleton.
Why?
They wanted to measure the radium.
I've said, leave it in the ground.
Yeah, no. No. Science.
But also.
It was science. So Evans was an expert at measuring and mathematically modeling the body's absorption, excretion, or expulsion, whatever, of radioactivity.
Oh, yeah.
So based on how much Radithor Byers said he drank, Evans predicted, or his model predicted, it would contain about 100,000 becquerel, which is more than the recommended daily dose.
Well, sure.
By about lots. But his remains actually had 225,000 becquerel. So either his radiation model was balls or Byers had understated, that's a nice way of putting it, his consumption, his quantities.
Who remembers every bottle?
Who does? So he at least halved it, if that was the case. No one's really sure which. Anyway, they put his bones back in the lead coffin and reburied. Why didn't this become a full-on public health crisis? Because it's an energy drink. It's popular. Two good reasons. One was most radium drinks lied. There was no radium in them.
Thank you, frauds. Thank you.
You actually did something good for once.
You did it good. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And a win for capitalism and its positive effects on public health, which we talk about all the time.
All
the time.
Where is this a win for capitalism?
Just here. Because Radithor was super expensive, so fuck all people could buy it.
Oh, only rich people died.
So the ones that actually had radium in it were only available to very few people.
Cool.
So
I'm with
capitalism is a public health benefit.
Yeah, it killed the rich people. So take it all back. Let's just keep doing it.
Yep. You want to make people better, make only rich people buy dumb shit. I fixed it. So Byers' death pretty clearly facilitated the collapse of all the radioactive patent medicines. Like the people just went, no, it's over. The industry's fucked. Yeah. But Bailey, the original guy, the creator, never stopped insisting it was safe. After all, he said, he had probably drunk more of it than anyone else and he felt fine. He suffered no legal consequences for selling the stuff and died a wealthy man. So there's a good reason he was described by at least some people as the chief impresario in the radioactive patent medicine field. Fun epilogue though. So he died in 1949 of bladder cancer, which sounds gross, sounds like horrifyingly bad. 20 years after he died, he was exhumed.
And?
His remains were, quote, still hot when pulled from the ground.
Oh, wow.
And they described his body or his remains as having been ravaged by radiation. Ravaged.
But he survived a long time.
Somehow. Some people do.
Oh, my God. There are differential impacts of radiation on different animals.
Yep.
And it's thought that
For example, the water newt and bonking.
Yeah, no, exactly. And there may be animals not so affected by radiation.
Cockroaches. Naked mole rats.
Yeah, well, those, but also maybe mammals. And potentially even within humans, there might be differential impacts. And
Must be.
And, we'll have to explore one day some of the Soviet studies that looked into differential impacts of radiation on different human animals.
If we must.
I just got to, but the one thing in this is you can understand at the time, and we still absolutely, and we should use radiation in medicine. Like radiation.
I had some the other day for a scan. I sat there and watched.
You do.
I watched, they put the screen in front of me as they put this goo in me. And they wanted to watch how it moved from kidneys to bladder.
Yep.
And I watched it in real time. It was fascinating.
There is a core of radiation.
There's reasons.
Actually
Absolutely.
Is useful.
Absolutely.
It's just how wild they went in the 1910s and 1920s.
Don't give it to cowboys.
Unless they just take out the billionaires.